Welcome to another Let's Talk Mom conversation. Today we are talking about how to thrive as a single mom, not just this year during the holiday, but all year long. You guys were ready for 8 o'clock. You guys are coming in. We have a party. Yay, we have a party. Thank you for joining us, everyone that's joining us. Let's see who I can invite. We have some really amazing guests tonight that I am super excited about. The others are coming on. Hi, Mama. Hi. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm well. Happy Thursday.
Thank you. You too.
So as tradition dictates, I am drinking on something. What are you drinking on? Are you drinking on anything?
Kombucha.
Ooh, it's pretty. That is a pretty drink. I am drinking ginger ale tonight.
Nice. I love it. We both have the ginger theme going on.
Yes, we do. So you know what? I've never had kombucha before.
Oh,
ever. Is it good?
Yeah.
Like, what are the health benefits of it?
It has probiotics in it. It's got like live bacteria. It's good for your gut health. And
I need to get on that.
I'm trying to reduce the amount of wine because I love drinking wine in the evening, and I'm trying to replace the wine. Oh, my earring just fell out. But I'm trying to reduce the amount of wine I'm consuming, and I've been trying different things. So I've tried fake wine. I've tried tea, and it's just like nothing's working, but kombucha really works well for me.
It works.
I love the flavor. It's a stronger flavor. And I love the ginger kombucha. That's my favorite.
I will try. I love ginger.
Yeah.
So I will try that and see how it goes for me. So we are waiting on our other two speakers. While we're waiting, Guida, tell us about who you are. Like, what's your name? This is my first time meeting you.
Yeah, and I feel so appreciative and thankful that you invited me to be here tonight.
I'm excited.
Me too. So I'm Christina, and I work full-time as a transformation coach, specifically for single women that are healing from breakups or divorces. And that can be, it just happened, or it could be it happened 2 years ago, because healing is not an easy process, and it does take time.
Absolutely.
So, and I've even worked with some women that haven't yet gone through the breakup, but they know that's something that they want, and they're trying to build up their confidence to get to that point. So I work with those ladies as well. I am a single mom, of course. I have a 15-year-old son. So I'm about to turn the big 40 next August.
Ooh.
Super excited. Yeah, I've written this list, the 40 adventures in my 40s. So fun things that I'm going to do in the next decade. And I can't wait, because I feel like society has made aging look like it's a negative thing. But I know for sure I've become more of myself as I've gotten older. And I have really enjoyed that. So I became a mom when I was 23 years old. I got married at 19 and divorced by 26. So
wow. How did that happen? While you're telling us that, Lakeisha, I see that you joined us, but it's not letting me invite you. So I need you to go out and come back in, and hopefully it will allow me to invite you once you go out and then come back in. So how did you go from all of that you just shared, from single and young and ready to mingle, to married pretty young, to divorced pretty young again? How did all that happen?
So I met my ex-husband when we were in high school. We met when we were 16, and we were together all throughout high school. And at 19, he joined the Air National Guard. So he was going away for boot camp and training, and I was in college, and I had a difficult childhood growing up. And so there was a catalyst event that happened where my dad actually registered his motorcycle under my name, but didn't tell me. I almost got my license suspended because of that. And instead of my dad being like, "I'm so sorry I did this to you," he's like, "Oh, I'll fix it." And I was just like, I can't be under this man, my family any longer.
Yeah.
So the logical solution at 19, of course, your 19-year-old brain is, well, let's get married. So we got married. And then a couple years later, we had our son. And so he was in the military. And when we were 25, so my son was he was about 9 months old when he left for Iraq. And while he was in Iraq, he had an affair with another woman in his unit.
Wow.
And catalyst of why we got divorced when he got back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is some story there.
That was
some life that you have lived. And so you really get it. You really get it. You really understand why we are here. And you understand the assignment, as we say, right?
Yes.
You understand the assignment. Okay. So amazing. I cannot wait until we get into a little bit more of what you're sharing. So Miss Burrows has just joined us. How are you?
Well, how are you? Sorry,
I'm well as well. So I always ask, what are you drinking? We're drinking ginger ale. She has some kombucha, ginger kombucha. Are you drinking anything today?
It's just water.
Okay. That's what I need to be drinking tonight is what. Maybe next time I have some water. How about that?
Yes.
So tell us about your journey to motherhood. How did you become a mommy?
Oh, how did I become a mommy? So I prayed my way into being a mommy, I think.
Wow.
When I got married, I told my husband, he was ready right off the bat, like, let's have kids. And I was like, no, we got to wait. And I was a flight attendant at the time, and so still flying. And I was like, give us some time and we'll kind of figure this out. And I was also still in school for my bachelor's as well. And so he was ready. And I was just kind of like, yeah, no, let's wait a little while. So time became right. I was like, okay, you ready? And he was like, I'm ready. You ready? And I was, And I was like, yep, I'm ready. And so we literally did the thing.
Yeah. Did it, and here we are.
It happened so quickly. It was like I kind of came off birth control. It was like, we'll see what happens. And before you knew it, boom.
That's amazing.
Yes. And so
that's amazing.
Say, if I say something's going to happen, then it's going to happen. And so she's like, never underestimate Deshelle, because Deshelle will, if she puts it in the air, it's going to happen. So that's kind of how
that
was. Yeah.
So Deshelle has some power and authority, okay? Talk about understanding the assignment.
Yes, absolutely.
I love that. So I don't know if I've shared this publicly, but I am a mom by chance and a mom by choice. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Moms by choice become single moms kind of on purpose, intentionally, without marriage, for whatever reason, lots of different reasons. Sometimes they adopt, sometimes they go through IVF. But that journey is one that's really, really interesting. And that is a part of my journey. So I'm a mom by choice and a mom by chance. And so I have a 10-year-old and an 18-month-old who thinks she is 40.
Yes, I love it.
So it's an amazing, amazing journey. And I'm so excited to be having you guys tonight. And Lakeisha is our fourth party, and she is having some technical difficulties, it looks like. So we're going to go ahead. Oh, here she is. Wait, let's see. Lakeisha, maybe you can ask to join. If you ask to join, maybe it would allow me, because it's not giving me the option to invite you. So while we're working on those technical difficulties, what I want to know from you guys tonight is all about thriving as moms, but also thriving as single moms, especially in the holiday season. What do you guys think it means to be a thriving mom? And specifically, what are the obstacles that single moms face from your experience?
For me, I do run a support group for expecting and new moms. And I think the biggest thing, especially in this pandemic, is being lonely. Mm-hmm. You know, having community, if they haven't reached out to build a community, that could include family, but it could include people that feel like family. It doesn't always have to be your family, but just making those connections with the right community of people, and then kind of celebrating with them, like literally saying, okay, I don't have my family, but I have this family, and let me kind of resonate in what I have, the goodness that is bringing me here with the family. And so I think that's been the biggest thing, especially in this pandemic with when we have, especially last Christmas, we weren't able to really be out. We weren't outside as, the hashtag we have now. We were still closed in and kind of figuring things out at the time. This was, pre injection vaccine and all that stuff. So we were still, to ourselves. This year it's a little better, but that's been the major thing. It's just the loneliness that has been happening for the moms that I support.
Yeah, that's so good. Tell us about tell us about the group that you have.
Absolutely. So my group is called the Mommy Tribe, and it operates every first Saturday of the month. I have had the group for 2 years this month.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you that I had the group. And so initially it was supported by a Catholic organization. However, because they kind of saw some views that I had around IVF and around the LGBT community, they decided to kind of part ways, which is completely fine for all birth partners. And so that was completely fine, but I kept it going. And so we've made it to 2 years. I've been supporting an amazing group of moms. All moms are welcome. We went straight to a virtual setting, April of 2020. Like I had the March event, that first Saturday in person, and we literally took it straight to Zoom, and we've been Zoom. Wow. So I support moms in Miami. I support moms in Boston, Virginia. I've had moms from all over, and all moms are welcome to come to this. Any new and expecting moms. Absolutely.
I love that. Love that. Okay. So what would you say are the major obstacles that moms face, specifically single moms? What are the greatest obstacles, especially co-parenting? Because you're a co-parent as well. But co-parenting, single moms, what are the obstacles that you have noticed in your work?
I would definitely say loneliness is a major factor. Like I would say that's probably number one.
Yeah.
At the holiday, like just loneliness in general year round, but especially during the holidays, because you might not get to have your kids depending on how you guys rotate. So that can happen. Then you also throw in like your friends that are couple friends, or like the holiday happy movies, like those romantic comedies, like you see all of that being thrown into your face. So that can kind of perpetuate that loneliness even more. And then if you don't have a family unit that you are close to, like me, I happen to be closer to my dad now. Took a lot of years of healing, but I'm not very close with my mom's side. So there's been many years where I feel very lonely because I don't have anybody to spend the holidays with. Because I don't want to spend it, or I choose not to spend it with my family for really good, reasons for my mental health, look out for my son and things of that nature. But then it just makes you feel even more lonely because you're like, damn, I don't even have like my family to lean back on. So definitely loneliness. And then the second thing I would say in terms of co-parenting specifically is how to navigate the holidays. So who's going to have, the kids on which holiday and things of that nature, especially dependent upon the relationship you have. I think communication is so important. And also what I like to say, putting your ego aside is extremely because I have every reason in the world to still say that I can't stand my ex-husband and he's a douchebag and whatever words I want to say. Anybody in society would be like, yeah, girl, yeah, he sucks. You know what I mean? But the truth of the matter is that's not healthy for me. It's not healthy for my son. And it's not healthy for him either because he's human. And we all do things that are hurtful to each other at some point or another. It looks differently. So putting my ego aside at the beginning was challenging because I was hurt. I was in a lot of pain. I was devastated. And he was with that woman for 4 years. So yeah, I had to while. But that is really a challenge, right? To like take your personal feelings, put them aside just so you can parent your children, so your children don't feel like they're caught in the middle and that they can't enjoy themselves. You know what I mean? And
you said a mouthful. I want to, you want to go back to something that you said. You said so much. One of the things that I heard you talk about is acknowledging your own pain. And sometimes I feel like, especially, we are strong women, right? And why is it so hard for strong women to acknowledge that sometimes we experience pain? Why is that so hard for us?
Because we've been made to say that, oh, we don't talk. We've been made to say, oh, we just pick up and we keep going. We have a family, so we don't say what our needs are. We just hug the things. But it's important that you acknowledge that. Just as she did, that is important that you say, yeah, I have feelings. Yeah, I have some pain. And then that way you can kind of get over it. That way you can do the things for you to protect that peace, and to get into a better place like she's done, which is amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah. And ex-husband.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I was just going to add that the biggest thing that I have learned is that forgiveness is key. So anything that you can work on building on leading up and during the holidays, it's working on forgiveness, forgiving yourself, forgiving anybody in your family, forgiving your ex, whoever you need to forgive. Work on that forgiveness, because that will set you free and that will allow you to be able to navigate difficult situations.
Yeah. But how do you forgive? Like someone that did you wrong? Like how do you bring yourself to forgiving them?
I think it's a process. It took me many years. And then I think sometimes, right, things still come up that hurt us that we remember, right? And we still work through that. But I think number one, it's the intention. It's to make a decision that even though it's hard and you haven't forgiven yet, but that you have that desire to work through it and forgive. I think also it's understanding that forgiving is not about letting somebody else off the hook.
Right.
It's about freeing yourself,
Yeah.
I was going to say, you don't even have to have a conversation with anybody. You don't have to call the person up and be like, hey, so I forgive you now. Like, you don't even have to say it. You can just do it energetically for yourself.
That's so good. Sometimes I find, talking to moms and dads, to be honest with you, just talking to people, sometimes I find that one of the things that kind of trip us up with forgiving is thinking that if I forgive them, then they've gotten away with it. And me forgiving them is me permitting them to do whatever they did to me and saying that it was okay. Yeah. And so what I hear you saying is that that's not necessarily true. And that forgiving them does not mean that you're consenting that and saying that what they did was okay. It just means that you're taking a step to make sure that you're okay. So forgiveness is a step for you.
Yes.
It is for your peace. It's not necessarily for them.
And for your children.
Yeah.
Because we can harbor those feelings, and your children know. They know exactly that you're unhappy with dad, or your partner or what have you. They know. They know when you grit your teeth. They know if you clam up every time they bring up, their
That's so good.
Their parents' names. They know every time you say that asshole, or whatever it is. They know and they internalize that. And what they do is you're teaching them, also how to treat other people as well. And so even if you have those issues with, your partner, you have to, or ex-partner, you have to kind of, like she said, forgive them for your own sanity. So that way you can, present a positive front in front of your children.
Yes, and I totally agree with you, Deshelle. Like, I think it's so important. We are the role models for our children,
That's so good. I remember one time, I have a 10-year-old. He was much, much younger when his dad and I separated. And one day I asked him, like, what do you think about the separation? And what do you want? And I was surprised because my son told me, I would rather you guys be apart because you guys argue so much when you're together. And so that was like really eye-opening for me that he didn't necessarily want what I thought I was staying because for him, right? And he didn't necessarily want that for us. He wanted us to be happy. He said, even if you never get married, I just want you to be happy, Mom. And that's what he, a little kid, said to me, the adult.
Yeah. And
which is amazing to me.
See that you're happier now. Yes. And that's what's important.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. All right. So let's talk about that. We talked a little bit about co-parenting. Talk to me about, now, Deshelle, your perspective may be a little bit different, but I can even get with some married people on this one, because when you're living in home with your parenting partner, I'm sure that you still have to kind of shift and share, philosophies and parenting strategies. How do you do that in home around the holidays? Maybe, your spouse wants to go to grandma, his mom's, and you want to stay home. Like, how do you negotiate all that with your parenting partner?
Well, luckily, our in-laws and my parents and his parents are all out of town, so that makes it easy for us. This year neither one of us went anywhere last year, but this year we've decided. I just said I'm going home. I thought he was working. My husband, he works weird shifts. He works at the airport. And so I just knew he was going to be off. Working. So I had already planned, since he was working, I was going to be away for Thanksgiving with my boys. However, that's not the case. He just surprised me. So I'm off on Thanksgiving Day. So I was like, well, we're going to be, in Tennessee. So I was like, well, how about you just fly in? And he's just like, okay. And then I was like, invite your mom for Christmas and your sister for Christmas. So then that way we get to see both sides of the family. So, I try to.
So you guys have to negotiate some.
No, not really. I think we just like, oh, okay. And we'll just do it that way. It works.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good.
Funny, if you don't mind me saying, but I have like the same situation with my ex-husband. Like, we kind of co-parent like that. Like, my dad wanted me to come see him for Thanksgiving. And so I was like, let me just check with, my ex and see what's up. And I'm like, hey, did you want to do anything with Luke for Thanksgiving? No. All right. Well, my dad wants me to come visit. All right, cool. Like that. We didn't always have it that way, but since we worked so much on ourselves, and he did his own healing work over time, and I've done my own healing work, that we just fell into this very natural friendship, and we can approach things pretty well. And one nice thing about co-parenting and not being together all the time is when there is some form of potential miscommunication, there's always distance and time. So, like, if he texts me something that I think I'm not sure if I'm reading it appropriately, or I'm like, I don't understand you, I just don't respond. Or same. And then when we see each other, then we laugh because we're like, oh, and later on, I got what you were saying. You know what I mean? So
that's so good. That is so good, because so often text can be a ground for misunderstanding, right? What you're saying is to slow down and give some space and some time so that you can catch up with each other. In terms of actually communicating. I love that. Is a really great tip. I'm going to use that one myself. Just not respond. I'm going to just hold off on responding. I love that.
Give some cool down time, right?
Some cool down time. And I'm sure from what you're saying is that it took some time for you guys to get there. What would you say to moms who are not exactly there with their parenting partner? They're in the thick of the craziness.
Right. I would say you can't change somebody else. So it's really best to focus on yourself. Mm-hmm. What can you change about your energy, how you see this person, what you say about this person, how you approach them when you do interact with them, what forgiving do you need to do? Those things, while they're difficult to do, that's why I talk about like putting your ego aside, because if we're hurt, we don't want to do that. But that doesn't help the situation. And if you're thinking long term, building a better foundation for your future, doing those things will be really helpful, because it just takes time. Like, things take time to kind of calm down. So it takes a couple of years, depending on each individual situation and how tenuous it was when it ended. But if you just give time and space, and also communicate as best as you can with the ex when you do have those interactions, it's going to help cool things down, because your ex is likely expecting a fight from you. So he or she is already like probably gunning up in their minds because you've got conflict, right? So he's already going to be jumpy. So come at it from a different angle over time. It'll be like, oh, because that's something that my ex and I talk about on occasion, is how much I changed as a person. And it took him a while to understand that I really changed, right? It's not a trap. She's very different. This is really her, And it takes some time and grace.
Yeah. It's so interesting, because you kind of get caught in this cycle of, I'm going to get you before you get me. And it does take a lot of grace to kind of come out of that cycle.
And intention. You have to choose to stop, because it's easy to want to have the last word. you know, like to want to be the right one. Want to be the one who points the finger, was like, you're the one who was wrong here. So it can be difficult to just cut stuff off and take a step back and disengage.
And that's the part, is taking that step back. Like, instead of attacking all the time, you know, taking a step back. And when you may be that person that's used to attacking, literally kind of, you know, priding yourself and just being like, okay, let me just take a step back and then kind of think things through, and maybe even think about both people's perspectives. You know, he's saying, you know, what does he really think? And sometimes, like she said, the communication could be completely off. They could mean nothing by what they've texted or what they said, but you taking it the wrong way. So sometimes if you just step back and kind of, you know, reconsider what was said, you may see that something different was meant totally instead of what you're thinking it was meant.
That's so good. That's so good. Because what happens is that we wear these like filters, like, right? We see the world through these filtered lens. And sometimes our lens it needs to be cleansed, right?
Right.
And so what you're saying, taking that step back gives you a minute to kind of decompress, come out of that moment and see, am I seeing this the right way?
Right. Because
am I
busy, ready to respond back?
Yeah.
Already. Okay. And so now I'm saying, you know, yes, exactly. And so we want to stop that. We want to take a moment to say, okay, even though they could be saying some crazy stuff, absolutely, but time to say, okay, what is he really saying, or what is she really saying? And then kind of coming at it from another angle. Just by you stepping away, that kind of takes the steam out of it, and then that makes it easier to communicate.
Yes.
That's so good.
Want to add that you may be right? Like, you may be right.
Yes.
It can be hard not to want to get your dig in because you know that you really are right. However, is that really going to help the situation? So take your win and keep it, you know, to yourself. Talk it over with your therapist, coach, or friend.
That's so good.
But I just wanted to add that because it is true that you really could be in the right in this situation, but it isn't going to change anything or make it better.
Sometimes you can win the war, and sometimes you can win the battle and lose the war. What you're saying is that you want to win the war. So what would be considered winning the war? When co-parenting, when you're even in marriage, like, what is winning the war? What does that mean, and what does it look like? I have something in my eye.
For me, I think it means having a really great relationship. I consider my son's father to be one of my best friends, which is non-traditional, obviously. And I'm very thankful for him. And what's really great is he's like one of my biggest supporters and cheerleaders. And he's one of the people that hurt me the most ever in my life story up to date, you know? But he's been my biggest cheerleader besides my father, who's the other person that hurt me more than anybody else.
Wow.
They're my two biggest cheerleaders now. I recently published a book, and my ex-husband bought the book, and it's all about healing from a divorce for women.
Wow. That's amazing. And you know what's interesting, I find, is that sometimes we think for the person that hurt us, that we're in a relationship with and we have kids with, sometimes we think that they cannot be a good parent because they hurt us.
Yes.
And sometimes that is totally not true.
Yeah.
Someone cannot be a good partner to you and still be a great parent to their child.
Absolutely.
Have you guys noticed that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that is so true. But sometimes sometimes moms even will hold that against dads, or dads will hold it against moms because of that hurt. And the kid kind of suffers because of that.
And I never saw having a relationship like I do with my son's father, like we do now. I didn't see that in the past. So you might feel today that that's a pipe dream, like that doesn't seem possible. But if you keep doing the work intentionally to let things go, to forgive, to work on that communication, to not, just fire back something and get into arguments, doing that work consistently, eventually you guys are both going to go your separate ways. You're going to be healed in terms of the relationship, and you're going to be able to move forward, and then you'll be able to cultivate more of a friendship. Like, it doesn't come without effort.
Yeah,
that's so good. So we talked about some of the struggles, the obstacles. Let's talk about what a thriving mom is. Like, what is she? What is a thriving mom? Anybody?
She is a boss.
Yes.
She is commanding. She has a commanding presence. She is a great mom. She is great in all aspects. She could be a stay-at-home mom. She could be a work-from-home mom. But she feels confident in how she's living her life and that her children are thriving. I think that's what makes an amazing mom is you are feeling well, if you're taking care of yourself and your children, girl, you are winning for sure.
Yeah. And how do you become that boss mom, especially when you've had some struggles? How do you undo all of that and become that woman that does it all? And should we be doing it all? How do you separate that out for yourself?
Balance. Balance. You can't say you're going to do all things for all people every day of the week. So you have to find balance. Maybe that is, finding, one day a week to do something for yourself nice. And the other 6 days are spent with, your mom and your children and PTO meetings and all of that. But just saying, I just need Saturday morning to just lay in my bed and just kind of do nothing but Netflix and chill by myself if I have to. If that's what deems feeling good for you and giving back to you feels like and is like for you, then do those things. If you carve out more time, twice a month, if you can carve out once a week, that's amazing. Do those things. And also allow your children to see you doing these things because they need to know that they have to take care of themselves, that self-care is important. We have to let our families know that mommy needs self-care and they need self-care. So what that could look like for your kids could be a moment to play Legos a little longer. That letting them chill and lay in their bed instead of screaming at them for chores on Saturday morning. You just give them 30 more minutes. But letting them know that self-care for them is important just as it is for you. And so I think that's important is when you do things for yourself and you make sure you're doing all those things to take care of you, everything falls in place because you'll have the balance that you're looking for.
I love that. Lakeisha said, I want in. She was our third person that was supposed to be joining the live. Usually it allows me to have 4 people, but tonight, for whatever reason, Instagram is being a little bit cray-cray and it's not allowing me to. What I think we're going to do, Lakeisha, if you want to hold for 1 second, I want to wrap up one of the conversations with one of these moms, and then I'm going to let one of them go and then let you come in so that you can come in and say what you need to say today. Somebody's saying y'all better teach tonight. I love that. All right. So what do you, Christina, what would you say is a thriving mom and how do you become it? How do you become that mom?
I think a thriving mom is one who chooses her priorities and then lets the rest go, because balance isn't necessarily about doing every single thing perfectly and equally, but it's about making time for all the things, but choosing which one of those matter the most to you. So it might be that quality time with your child matters the most. So then let the dishes sit in the sink. No big deal. They can get washed another day, right? So it's just about making those intentional choices. And another huge thing, especially for us single moms, that this is my personal experience and the women that I work with go through this as well. When we don't have a sense of who we are, when we don't have our own womanhood, we feel lost. We don't know who we are when our circumstances change. And your circumstances are always going to change. For example, my son's 15 and 3 short years, he's going to be an adult and he's going to go off in the world and I'm going to be by myself, right? And if I don't have a sense of who I am as a woman, that's going to be really hard. And that can happen to any mom. And then with single moms, when we separate from our partners, we often feel very lost because we just don't know who we are. We took all of us and put that into our role as a partner and as a mother. So it's really essential to, as a thriving mom, make sure you know who you are as a separate, independent. So
that is so good. That is important for all moms, especially single moms. I love that. I love that, love that, love that. No way. I did not hear not one of you say that being a thriving mom means perfection.
Oh, no.
And so often I think that we interpret thriving, that boss mom, as being perfect. And it's far from being perfect. And it sounds like what you're saying is just putting, making those moves, making those steps every single day. And in doing that, you are that thriving mom that's living. So listen, one of you guys, I have to let Lakeisha on.
Absolutely.
And who wants to end early? I'm so sorry, but I really want Lakeisha to join in.
Not a problem.
And I hate that we have to make this choice.
Not a problem.
Anybody?
I've been on early, so I can be the first one to jump off. It's no big deal.
Oh.
Whoever.
Either way, it's fine with me.
Okay. I'm so sorry. Instagram is being a little bit silly today. Last week I had 4 people. I don't know why it's doing this today.
No worries, but thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate that. And you all have a great evening.
Yeah. Would you please let us know tell us again what you do and where we can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me right on the gram, Off She Adventures, OFF. She Adventures. I love traveling and I think of life as an adventure. So that's kind of where that came from. And so that's where you can find me on the gram. My website is offsheadventures.life. You can find me there. And then I am on Facebook. I do have a Facebook group for women going through a separation or a breakup. If you want to find a community, it's a free group. The link is in my bio of Instagram. So you can also check that out or message me. I love messages. So don't, hesitate to reach out to me. If you have a question or if you just want to connect, I'm here.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. Offshore Adventures.
Off She Adventures.
Off She Adventures. Got it. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see you next time. We are Instagram friends now, so we will connect.
I love that so much, and thank you again for inviting me. And Deshelle, nice to meet you.
Well,
have a great evening, you guys.
All right.
Bye.
bye.
All right. So Lakeisha, she's saying we can alternate back and forth. We're gonna bring Miss Lakeisha on.
Yay.
Look at that. I don't know why Instagram was tripping tonight. Let's see. There she is. Yay! Hey, Lakeisha.
I need to get in this conversation. Look, I take off my therapist hat. I was like, I'm just going to talk about being a mom. Yes, let's do this.
Let's do this. So tell us.
And a single mom.
So before you tell us who you are, I just got to tell you what I know about Lakeisha. So I know her as just Lakeisha, not as therapist Lakeisha, just as Lakeisha. She is the person that told me, she knows exactly what I'm going to say. You do a lot of planning. You're really good at that planning, but you never do anything else with it. So she was the person that helped me to become a thriving mom.
Yes. Come on.
Yes. She helped me to become a thriving mom. So she was the first person that gave me that feedback. And because she gave me that feedback, I said, you know what? She's right. I do a lot of planning, but don't do anything with those plans.
Okay.
And it actually encouraged me to do something with my life as a therapist.
Yeah.
And it actually opened the door for me actually starting my own private practice. So yes, you helped me become a thriving mom. And you know that. I tell you that all the time.
I know you do. I know you do. But, I can't even take the credit. It's funny. I told my daughter the other day, because my daughter is much like me, a serial entrepreneur, right? Always having 50,000 ideas. And I literally just told her that last night when we went for a drive and I started, because she's like, she has a different business every week.
I love
Wow.
Right? She has a t-shirt business. She's making crafts.
Wow.
She has and I'm like, yeah, a lot of. I said, I'm gonna tell you what someone told me, because somebody told me the same thing, right? So absolutely. So I'm glad I could be that person. I think we definitely feed off of each other, because Lord knows you have said that one little thing that you said to me.
Yeah.
I don't financial, that financial goal.
Yeah.
She's like, you ever make 6 figures? And I was like, girl, no. I didn't even think about that.
But now
I'm just trying to raise these kids and live my life. Right.
So you're being a thriving mom now. So tell us so I kind of gave you an introduction, but tell us officially who you are and why did I invite you here?
Right. So I don't know, but I was like, whatever, I'll take it. Whatever you want, whatever reason you want me to be here. So I am Lakeisha Harris. I am a therapist, and I really consider myself a power advocate because it's all about advocating for people to live their best life through mental and emotional healing. And I feel like we definitely get our power through healing. Like, my famous line is, some people think money is power, some people think knowledge is power. I think healing is power. And so everything I do is all about healing and becoming your best self unapologetically. Yes. So you asked the question about thriving mom. That's why I was like, I want in, right? Because you're like,
I want in. So what do you say a thriving mom is? What is a thriving mom in your perspective?
All right. So it's really a thriving person, right? And so the ladies already gave like great example. I was like, oh, I can't say that. Oh, I can't say that. Like they already said so many of the other, all the attributes, right? But I really truly believe that we can thrive when we are unapologetically who we are, right? And all of that. And then as moms, we get to shadow that for our kids, right? So we get to actually show them what it's like, and so that we see that, right? We see it in our little ones, right? And so, I have my book, Heal, Date, Thrive. I was like, thriving is my word. Like it is accepting about that.
Yeah.
Right. So when you said that, I was like, ooh, thriving. So really being able to acknowledge or accept who you are, flaws and all, but still keep moving, right? Not get, because there's some great people out there who just get stuck, but thriving is continually moving, continuously growing and showing up.
So one of the things that you said is embracing your flaws. And sometimes we think that if we have a flaw, we can't do anything. We can't make any moves. We can't thrive if we have a flaw. So how do you get to that place of embracing your flaws?
So for me, my whole thing is there is no such thing as perfect people, right? And so if someone tell you they're perfect, they're lying to themselves, first off, right? They're not. And so I think it's our flaws and our challenges that also contribute to who we are. If we're able to learn from them, right?
Yeah.
So any challenge I have, I'm always like, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this? Because obviously I have to learn, because I'm not imperfect just to be imperfect, right? I'm imperfect to grow and polish like a diamond, constantly polishing it.
Yes.
It's not going to be polished if everything is just wonderful and great and
absolutely
challenges.
Absolutely. It's so funny you said Polish because my BFF came on and her company is Polish Consulting Group. So it's literally as you said Polish, she came on. That was funny to me. So what I find is that we sometimes think that the people that are perfect are the ones that we kind of look to, when it's actually the opposite. Like, who looks to someone that has had this perfect life? We usually look for people that have had some type of struggle that they've overcome. And we look to them for clues. And we look for them, like, how did you do it? How did you get to that point? Like, think of all the people that you kind of look at and you Instagram and you YouTube. They're people that have struggle. And so your flaws, the things that you consider your flaws, are the things that are like your ticket to success, to be honest with you. Because when you overcome them, you become someone else's clues that they can look to for success. And I think that if we change our mindset about that, that helps us to become that thriving mom that we are talking about tonight. Yeah.
It's funny because when you say, when we talk about having flaws and not being perfect, and I think it's so hard because social media sends this message that things. And so as a therapist, for me, it's so easy not to fall into it because I know for a fact, right? I can look at someone's profile and then when they sit down and we're having a conversation, it's like, who are these two people? Like, they're not the same, right?
Yeah.
So the reality is that we have to normalize the fact that people tend to put out we put our best foot forward, right? And we want to present like everything is great, but the reality is that, and there is no such thing as perfection. For me, right? But there's no such thing as perfection. So normalize, hey, then the better way to be, right?
Just normalizing that you're going through life and no one's going to have a perfect journey through life. Literally, when I'm on the couch with my clients, talking to them, we talk about, they may feel like they want to be perfect, but we talk about, what does perfect look like for them, and what is the need to be perfect, because there's something else behind that needing to be perfect. And talk about what that looks like for them, for sure. Yeah. And then go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask, what are some of the things that you found is at the root of perfectionism for your clients?
It could be something that happened in their childhood. It could be, I have one client and she is talking about her mother did not want a girl. And so she had a lot of trauma just because, and some of it was her own thoughts of thinking that she had to be perfect because her mom didn't want a girl. Her mother said she had to be perfect, but because she knew that, she was not the better, the choice, she felt like she had to present to be that perfect person. And so that caused a lot of strain for her. And then she realized, as we've done some EMDR with her, she's realized that, where these other instances where as a child in kindergarten, where her teacher didn't like her for whatever reason because she was so outspoken, and they made her kind of feel, small, that all these other things kind of built into her still feeling the need to be perfect. And talk about those things in our sessions for sure.
That's so good. What are some ways that you think that people that struggle with perfectionism can overcome that so that they can be that really authentic, thriving mom? Because being that thriving mom looks different from being perfect, right? Mm-hmm. So if you struggle with perfection, how do you overcome that?
Giving yourself grace.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a mom group when I was pregnant with my second son, and there was this one mom, and she had 3 girls. They were all, I think they're all 18 months apart, something like that, like really close in age. And so every time she showed up, she was perfect. Her kids looked perfect. And so it made me feel like I was the one always running late with my 2 boys, and they nose might be running, and I'm hoping they got socks on, those kind of things. Trying to get it together. But I had to that's not my struggle. I can't do that. And I had to let that go. I can't be her. She does her perfectly. But I'm going to be the late mom. And they got a laugh out of, I'm going to be late, So they were like, okay, Michelle, we got to be there at 10:30. That meant we had to really be there at 11. But they would tell me that way I could be on time, and get my kids there on time for the events. But I had to let that go of, that's her thing. That's not me. And I just have to be the best me that I can be. And that's when I felt better about everything.
That's so good.
Also, I would say too, really being able to identify where does that message come from? Because the reality is that we are taught different things. And sometimes it is our own self-induced, right? So some children were just, they always done well, and they're not used to not doing well, right? So they're in their own mind, they grow up thinking, okay, they got to go out, and you don't know it because they have a hard time when they mess up, right? And so, because some kids are genetic, like genetics to me is so huge, right? And we talk about single parents. I'm a single parent, no co-parent. It's a single situation over here. So, but even genetically, you can see the gene line is strong, right? Mm-hmm. So it relates to perfectionism, because I just thought of one of my seeds, right? Who tends to like, what? I didn't get 100. Like, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. You didn't get 100, right? So being able to tell ourselves constantly, because they benefit from me being able to reinforce it. But as adults, we have to remind ourselves, like, it's okay to mess up. It's okay. Like, that whole word perfect as it relates to a person just seems so bizarre. Like, please just don't think you perfect. Like, it just doesn't happen. My whole motto is that we all have things we don't work on. If we don't have something to work on, we God. Just call me God then, right? If I don't have nothing to work on. So there's certain things I feel like I'm a beast in. Right, this certain thing, I'm a beast in that right there, right? But then there's like, yeah, I gotta work on that,
and it's okay.
Yes,
and it's okay. And it's okay. Yeah, what I tell people is that when you so awareness is important. So number one, awareness in regards to where did this thinking come from? But then also when you see yourself doing things out of perfectionism with the intention of being perfect, reminding yourself that you literally are saying, am I enough?
Yeah.
You're like, whenever you, like, if you're like, let's say for instance, you are going shopping to wear the best clothes. What you have to understand is your mindset is saying, am I enough when you're going to buy those clothes? Am I enough?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to remind yourself that you are enough every single time. You are enough just because you exist. If you did nothing else, just because you exist on this earth, you're enough.
Mm-hmm.
That was enough just to be here. Everything else is icing on the cake, baby. It's icing on the cake. So reminding yourself that is what I find is really helpful. So we gotta wrap up, you guys. This is a great conversation. Listen, I'm gonna put you on the spot right now because I know you have this book about dating and healing and thriving. You want to come on to another live and do a book about dating?
Look, absolutely, because I actually have a 6-week program coming up in the new year. So, yes, I do.
Okay. So Lakeisha and I have talked about dating in the past before, so this is going to be a great conversation. I know it will be. So in December, because I'm extending these conversations because people keep saying you can't stop. So I'm going to extend the conversations for December. So we got to pick a date in December for you to come.
Sounds like a podcast coming.
Oh no. Not a podcast, but I will extend the series of conversations for December. And I want to invite you to talk about dating specifically as a single mom. Because you said you're single. How did you do that? How do you do that, right?
Single and thriving single. You know what I mean? Like thriving single. Not single like sad single like thriving, like I enjoy it. Like
so we're gonna get all into that skinny of all of that thriving, dating, healing, life after, right? We're gonna talk about that. We'll find a date. So I thank you guys for coming on. Christina, who is gone. Thank you, Christina, for coming on. Where can we find you all? Now, did you come on after you did something with your group, Lakeisha?
I did. Yeah. So I had today we did a workshop on helping parents coping with teens' emotions. So we just I was like 6 to 7:59. I was like, get on here. And I was like, no, you can't. I was like, okay, I guess I'll go get me some water.
So that is a major, so both Lakeisha and I are both trained in positive parenting. So she is a parent coach. She does the dating thing, but she's also a power advocate, but she's a parent coach too.
Yes.
So if you guys are listening and you have teenagers or just kids in general that are struggling a little bit, she is the person to get with. She is the parent coach.
Look, and I love the kids.
She loves the baby.
We always have
this conversation. I don't love the baby no more. I like the grown-ups now.
And I like the grown-ups, but I do like the grown-ups. However, there is something different about these young
about the kids. Now, I'll teach you about your kid, but I don't like dealing with the kids no more. That is not my grace. So tell us, Lakeisha, tell us where to find you. You will be back, but tell us where to find you in the meantime.
So actually, I logged in under this account, which is old because I thought maybe I couldn't get on because I was in my business account. But I'm really on Instagram at Harris CC, which is for Harris Counseling and Coaching, on Instagram and all social media outlets rather.
Yep.
And I have a website. It's www.Harris Counseling and Coaching, and really focusing on mental health counseling, parent coaching, and relationship coaching, healing through coaching. Relationships, not the process of should I stay with this person who's terrible?
You want to have that conversation. You don't want to have that conversation.
I'm not the one. You don't come to me for that. You go to the marriage counselor. You go to somebody else.
So tell us exactly what you enjoy working with in regards to dating.
For those people who feel just stuck, I enjoy working with them to get them unstuck. Or those who are dealing with the past relationship mess, I like working with them as relates to dating, or those who just find themselves in cycles of dating the same type of guy over and over again, and women, but the book is for and men, but the book is for women. But those who find themselves just in one bad relationship to another bad relationship, those are my ideal relationship coach people.
So you need the baby and Danny Lee. I think those are the people that are popping right now to come to you.
Or
She don't even know. Come on now. I'll tell you about that offline, Lakeisha.
that would be a no. That would be a no.
Yeah. That would be a no. Okay. Okay. Tell us where to find you, Michelle. Tell us what you do, who you love working with, and where we can find you.
Absolutely. So I am a licensed professional counselor in the Atlanta, Georgia area. I specialize, and I'm also a empowerment coach. I specialize in supporting women through life transitions. That includes traumas, birth traumas, sexual traumas, or any sexual issues you may have. I'm also finishing a sacred sex coach certification as well. I help women become more comfortable in their bodies, especially after being sexually assaulted or having abuse as well. And I'm also, I do have a new affirmation cards. They're coming out for Black Friday. They're called Watch Me Heal. And they'll be out. So please follow me here at Sex Mommy Wellness. You can follow me here as well as I'm actually on TikTok and I'm actually on Twitter under Sex Mommy Wellness. I am Deshelle. That is my trauma page where I talk more specifically about traumas as well. And I just started a new company, Aviation Coaching and Consulting, where I'll be coaching airline professionals their issues as well. It's a coaching firm where it's me and 3 more women that are coaching them as well.
I love that. I don't think I know anyone coaching the aviation personnel.
Send them all to me.
I love that. Yes, I will. I sure will. That's lovely. We may have to get you. I didn't know. I forgot about that whole sexuality piece. We may need to get you back on the live when we talk about dating.
Oh, yes. Let's talk about it.
Ooh, so to be continued, you guys. Maybe you may see these 3 faces again. To be continued sometime in December, so we can talk about dating and sexuality, because I have not talked about that at all.
Yes,
especially after trauma.
And pleasure. Yes. Pleasure. Yes.
I'm getting hearts, so that means that people are here for it. I see a lot of hearts coming up.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and we will, like I said, to be continued. So thank you guys. Good night.